Hi there, and thank you for joining us on the Overcomers Overcoming podcast. We feature those who are in the process of overcoming or have overcome any type of life encounter, life obstacle that at the time seemed to be almost insurmountable. With this podcast, we have three objectives in mind. Our first objective is we want you to know with a confident resolve you are not alone. We want to work with you. We want you to know there are others who are working with you, who want to help you through whatever you are encountering, and together we will get through whatever you're experiencing.
Our second objective is there are multiple options for any life encounter you are facing. We want to help you develop a resolve that there are various options and solutions to any life dilemma.
Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If you're encountering something that was possibly a decision you made sometime in the past, and if you had the opportunity for a life redo, you would make a different decision. We want to help you with those critical thinking skills that can help you make an informed decision and not encounter what you're going through at the moment. We are the Cooper Culture, a veteran-owned business. We work with business personnel and families to develop and sustain connected relationship cultures within their families and organizations. That type organization is one where people feel wanted, appreciated, and genuinely a part of that organization. I'm with my wife and business partner, Marty, who is helping me facilitate this podcast. Today we feature Lisa Richer, who discusses neurodiversity with us from her perspective of being neurodiverse. She was diagnosed later in life and continues as an adult to deal with her neurodiversity while also parenting sons who are neurodiverse. And it's great insight into how to work with those who think just a little differently from what is sometimes referred to as neurotypical people. But it's a matter of us adjusting to, recognizing, and adapting to those who may process information just a little different from the way we do. It's a great opportunity to learn from a mother who is neurodiverse while also being a parent. Marty, it's a great opportunity to help us learn in how to best work with those who are neurodiverse. What are some takeaways you got from Lisa?
Lisa has an amazing story where she has taken what she knows, what she has lived, and what she has with her two sons, the neurodiverse issues that every parent has, every child has. She helps parents, she helps children find their sweet spot and help them to be able to function in society.
It's a great opportunity to learn together. Let's listen, learn, and let's together pledge to work with those who are neurodiverse. Lisa, it's great to have you with us. Our listeners are going to be very intrigued with your personal experience of, by your definition, you are neurodiverse. You have children who are neurodiverse. And our listeners we have both parents, grandparents, caregivers. We are learning from literally every conversation about neurodiversity. And some people have said when you learn one, you only know one. Every neurodiverse person is very different, unique. But Lisa, I think through your life experience, we can learn a lot about neurodiversity as a general term, but then how can we best work with neurodiverse people? Lisa, it is great to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Lisa, you are self-diagnosed as neurodiverse. How would you describe yourself?
I'm not self-diagnosed. I actually am officially diagnosed with several diagnoses. Growing up, I was different than a lot of kids. I was not diagnosed until I was diagnosed with anxiety in my 20s, but I was given that label and left to figure it out on my own. And it wasn't until about 6 years ago that I was actually officially diagnosed with ADHD and several other things. So I never thought that it mattered to know that officially, because to me, diagnoses inform, they don't define who a person is. However, what's really interesting, Ron and Marty, is that when I was diagnosed, and I didn't go out seeking it, my therapist diagnosed me as we were moving through the depths of a burnout episode where it wasn't a burnout cycle, but I was literally unable to get off the couch. And so through that, there were numerous diagnoses that came to light for her. And what happened was, as I was diagnosed, I had so much more clarity on, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that's how I did that. That's why that didn't make sense to others. And it brought a sense of calm and a sense of confidence that I never knew could exist by having that clarity.
Describe to our listeners your personal life that you, just moments ago, were described as being different. What was it that you recognized as, quote, different, or others said, well, Lisa, you're different? Is there just a quick answer to that? What the definition of different for you personally?
For me personally, I mean, the quickest thing to say is I could walk into a room and within 10 minutes feel that something was off or on and recognize and pinpoint what those were. But I was always told that doesn't make sense. How can you do that? That's not right. And so as the years went on, I suppressed that. And now I lean into it because it really is true. My gut intuition and my instincts, I can feel things that others can't feel. I can see things. And when I tap into it, it comes to fruition as what my reality is reality. Although growing up, my reality was so different than most people's that I was told, what's wrong with you? Why do you think that way? That doesn't make sense. Why would you say that? Why would you do that? And so I stopped being me. And then over the last 6 years, I have become free to be me fully. And now I tap into those uniquenesses.
Lisa, explain to us and our audience, and maybe someone that is wondering if they have ADHD. You said you tap into it. So how do you tap into it? Explain it to maybe even me.
Sure. So I don't know if directly, Marty, that the ADHD is related to that intuition. I don't know. Like I was born with this intuition. What I would say that I tap into as it relates to ADHD, because it's one of my neurodifferences, is that as I learned more about, Ron, you said this, when you meet one person, you meet one person. So my ADHD shows up very differently than my younger sons. And so for me, one of the things that I realized is my executive functioning difficulties would stop me from being able to do work. And so now what I know is that I can leverage resources, tools to support me so that I can focus on the things that I do really well and lean into others to support me on the things that just don't make sense to my brain. So that knowledge of what my neurodifferences are led me to uncover what that means for me, not my son, not other people that I work with, because my differences are different than someone else's differences. And so I have to figure out what those are in order to be able to use them appropriately.
I wanted to ask you, you do coaching or counseling for others. Do you recognize their difference and how they need to tap into their situation?
Yes. So I'm not a counselor and I don't call myself a coach. It's okay. I just want to, so I don't have like my background in that. I do have background in mindfulness, HR leadership, transition like coaching, but I don't call it, I call it more mentorship. I have certifications in special education advocacy and executive functioning coaching. So I do have a coaching certification in that, parent behavioral. So I have a lot of variety of backgrounds. When I meet people and I lean in seeking to understand who they are, and I ask questions and I share back what I hear them tell me, I have been told by many people, most of my a lot of my clients, I have an innate ability to uncover the unknown unknowns. So I listen in a way and I feel in a way, and then I ask for clarity on what it is they've said to me, and then I dig deeper. And by doing that, I can then share back with them what I heard them tell me. And then at the end of the day, because I don't diagnose and I don't believe that diagnoses need to be there anyway, it's the information I gather, I can then help drive somebody towards something else. So sometimes it's you may want to go and seek help from a mental health professional or to potentially get a diagnosis to better inform how to support your unique profile. Other times, I would just say, here's what I'm seeing, and here's how we can shift. So I take that information to guide them, but I do not diagnose, label, or medicate. That's not part of my experience.
Thank you.
You mentioned you have the innate ability to, and I want to ask you, Lisa, does that equate to you can focus on different things, your brain can process different things, and really where I'm going with this is you don't need, I'm phrasing this as a question, and I want to see if it's accurate. You don't need to know a bunch of different things about a whole range of things you want to focus on. And when you have determined or someone has determined your sweet spot, you focus on that, and you can be not only articulate, you can become a very expert in a very narrow path. Am I processing what you're saying about you have that innate ability?
Yeah. So, and bear with me. So I'm taking notes because I don't retain information if I don't, and I interject. So that's something else I learned about myself. But for many years, I was told, stop taking notes, you're not listening. But I don't listen if I'm not taking notes. But again, it was what somebody else believed, like meant you were listening. So back to your question. Um, so my brain does process things differently. So I can so I'm going to back up a minute. I have a claim, I have a true belief that neurodiversity is the prism lighting the table. So whether it's the person I'm working with or otherwise, we are an umbrella, a neurodiversity umbrella, which falls within neurotypical and neurodivergent. Not even the brain of two identical twins are exactly the same. So no one is identical in the way that they think. Neurotypical is what is deemed typical by society. My brain works very much like this wave of up and down, in and out, I think from the edges, very non-linear. I live in the gray. And so when I have that with that innate ability, so I will walk in, I will scan a room, I will listen very closely. I will feel how I'm feeling when people are sharing information. I will look at body language. I will just kind of address the room. I will ask questions to uncover what it is. And sometimes I'm wrong. And so then I'll go down a different path and I'll ask more questions. Once we get to that sweet spot, yes, I will dive deeper, but I will continue to ask questions that are nonlinear to uncover whatever it is that that person may or may not already recognize in themselves, and then share it back with them. And I use a framework called the Clarity, Confidence, and Courage Journey Map in order to guide people to that place.
And I want to ask you that you at an earlier age felt different, and maybe some people would still describe you as different, but do you feel that you're different in a very unique, usable way? And really what I'm building up to, Lisa, do you feel rejected in some environments?
So growing up, I felt rejected in almost all environments because I didn't understand even myself, let alone people understanding me. I wouldn't say that I feel rejected at all anymore because I'm so comfortable with who I am And I'm so free to authentically be myself that I educate others on how to understand me, how to work with me, and people can either choose to come along or I don't give them space in my world anymore. I'm not disrespectful to them, but they're not my people. And so, um, could I say it's a unique, usable way? Yes, but some of that starts with that mindset. I'm so clear on who I am now and how I show up that I have the confidence and courage to show up that way no matter what. And so I'm a recovering people pleaser. I'm so most of my life I was spent trying to please others, but I know now that in order to please, I don't need to please others. I just need to make sure that I can take care of myself. And what I've learned is by being confident in that and humble and kind, I get to now share that with others to give them more confidence and clarity and have the courage to be free to be themselves. Um, Neurodiversity is not something to be cured. It is not something that just disappears. It is something that you learn to lean into. Sometimes you learn to walk away from. It's just who you are as an individual.
How long did it take you to reach the point, I'm going to use several C words, to have the confidence, the courage to be who you want to be, that you found yourself and you found your sweet spot? How long, just at least in general, how long did it take for that to happen? And was it just an aging process, or did you have to go through maybe a ritual of some sort to reach that state of your life?
That's a great question. So I hope nobody goes through what I went through to get here, because it took burnout. It took not a burnout cycle, but it took me, I say burned to ashes. I literally was laying on a couch. I could not get off the couch. It was really bad. Through that process. So I will back up though. I will say when I was younger, I was an elite level gymnast. And when I was in the gym, I was very comfortable and confident until at 15, I got injured. Or sorry, 16, I got injured. And then my world started to fall apart. So then from 15 till 48, when I hit burnout, I was spiraling in different ways, trying to figure out who I was and what was happening. So it was a long period of time. When I crashed, I then needed to start taking care of myself. And through that process, I learned a lot about me. I found that having a word uh, in 2021 instead of a New Year's resolution was my North Star. My word was courage. And that word for the last 5 years, almost 6 years now, has evolved into what does that mean to me? How do I have courage as my North Star? And how do I unbecome to become? And actually, there's a book chapter that I'd be happy to give a copy to any of your listeners that want to hear it. I was part of a book collaborative, and my chapter is called Unbecoming to Become, Finding Clarity in the Chaos. And it walks through what we're talking about here on a much deeper level. So it took burnout, me literally having to strip away everything that I had learned over time, the trauma, the different things that happened, and almost peel back every layer and rebuild my self-worth, my value, my belief in myself, trusting my intuition. And so that process, I'm still moving through it, but I would say it took about 4 years to truly get to where I felt confident and comfortable enough to have the courage to lean in. But every year it gets better and better. So now, if you talked to me a year ago, I was nowhere near as confident as I am today in what I say and how I say it and who I say it to, because every day that I'm practicing it, every day that I'm working with others, helping others help themselves is continuing to help me help myself.
I'm doing the mental arithmetic. Age 15 to age 48, 33 years. Were you full-time, let's say 40 hours a week, employed during that time? Or what were you doing during that, from an employment perspective, what were you doing for those 33 years?
So, well, college. So I did gymnastics all the way up through college. And then after college, I ran a gymnastics program at Y, and then I was a gymnastics director at a little gym. And then I worked in corporate for many years. I was in sales, and then I was a director of a staffing firm, and then I was in HR leadership and sales management, training and development. I did lots of very senior level roles. VP level were the last two roles that I did in a corporation running HR departments.
So you were, I'm going to use the term immediately employable. Your neurodiversity didn't hinder you from that, but yet, would it be fair to say, Lisa, some neurodivergent people are not 40-hour-a-week employable? And I'm just trying to search through this neurodiversity and who is maybe full-time employable, and then or might you have to go through some number of years to grow out of whatever you're going through at the moment?
So that's a really hard question to answer because there's no one answer for it. So what I would say is, sure, yeah, I was employable. I was masking and camouflaging for many years. I was running like the Energizer Bunny. Go, 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 focus, 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 focus. Resilient, determined, all those things. And so I was employable to the detriment of myself. My anxiety continued to rise. I lost my sense of self, my value, my worth, and then eventually burnout. So that will happen for many neurodivergent individuals where you just go, 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 go until your body's like, enough, I can't go anymore. Or burnout cycles where you go and then you need time to recover. Then you go. And then there's other people that may need additional time. You may not be working 40 full hours, but there's not one type of neurodivergent individual or one diagnosis code. So for example, someone can have depression, anxiety, someone can be autistic, someone can be dyslexic, someone can have ADHD or be ADHDer, and any one of them could be fully employable, but any one of them might not be. So everybody, it's like we talked about earlier on, one-on-one, your unique circumstance, your situation, and sometimes it's you don't think you're employable because you don't know where to go to find employment where people will see you for you and help you do your best work. And so that's when I was doing transformation work with professionals, they were usually pivoting and changing careers. And in doing that, it comes back to who are you? What are your self-limiting beliefs? Are you really worthy? Do you believe you're worthy? And then what do you do best? What does that look like? And then how do we go out and find that opportunity for you? So instead of, if it's someone that's looking to get employed, instead of sending resumes out to everyone, what I did was the inversion. It was almost like when I was in the staffing world, I was helping people teach themselves how to do that for themselves so they could go out and market themselves for their best strengths, where an organization's like, whoa, I didn't even know someone like you existed. I'm going to make a role for you, versus trying to fit into a box.
I want to take a very brief moment to tell you about myself, the Cooper Culture, a certified veteran-owned small business. I am a retired lieutenant colonel serving the Air Force for 22 years as an F-4 pilot, commander. I have 300 combat missions. I specialize in executive leadership training, team building, and workplace culture, where we help businesses to develop a culture of loyalty, trust, and by developing personality traits and personal strengths, we can help identify those traits that support the company's objectives. We do this through half-day and all-day training shops. I'm also a public speaker where I welcome the opportunity to speak with your group to help you develop your team to the point where people are loyal and they know exactly how they fit in the organization and contribute to your strategic objectives. Through that, you will have a very profitable company in a psychologically safe space where people know they can freely discuss everything about the company themselves and We are always working together to progress. Contact me at ron@thecooperculture.com. Our website is thecooperculture.com. Look forward to the opportunity to speak with your group, work with your group, to take your group to the next level to where we soar together. Let's work together. My sense is some neurodivergent people do not know when they're becoming overstimulated, and I'm going to use that term in your case leading up to burnout, but can we, caretakers, grandparents, parents, learn to watch a person's activity level and discern if you don't moderate yourself, regulate yourself, whatever the term, if you continue on this pace, you're going to reach burnout? Is that a fair statement, Lisa?
Absolutely. The hard part is threefold. One, acknowledging that it's okay not to be okay. And that's for the person as well as the caregiver or the parent. Two, allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough to have that conversation on both sides without judgment. And then three, educating yourself enough to say, what else can I do to help me work through that? Whether it's getting support, whether it's getting a therapist. I say burnout was the worst and best thing that happened to me because it forced me to look within and to recognize all the things that happened throughout the years, and for me to get a therapist to help me. My kids had them, they were in every intervention, but I wasn't doing it for myself. But everyone around me wasn't necessarily willing to go there with me. And so what I would say to caregivers and parents is give that person space and grace. Even if you don't understand what they're going through, get curious and see what they need, not what you think they need.
I'm just totally in the moment with you, Lisa. When you analyze, you assess yourself and burnout, did you have another person work with you to compare notes, or did you self-assess and say, "This is what I'm going through. This is what I need to modify"? And I'm trying to. I think what I'm asking you is, did you need another person to help mentor you through to become the person you are today?
Oh, 100%. I hit burnout cycles through the years many, many, many times unknowingly. Like there would be weekends that I was in even my early 20s. I didn't want to get out of bed. I had to sleep. I had to take naps in order to get up and go back out. I'm like, oh, I guess it's just how my body works. What was happening is I was in these burnout cycles. I was working 40 plus hours a week in these organizations, and then I was just exhausted. And so when I hit burnout, fully, where I could not get off the couch, I invested in a therapist. The therapist is who diagnosed me with burnout. The therapist is who diagnosed me with complex PTSD, who also diagnosed me with ADHD. So through the years of working with her, and helped me unpack the layers of realizing the situations, the things, all the things that were happening that led me to burnout, and all the things I needed to understand and acknowledge and then understand and then work through. So lots of different therapies, from EMDR to somatic work to cranial sacral therapy, nervous system therapies. I mean, I've been for the last, since 2021, been going through this return from burnout or moving through and healing from that process with my therapist.
So the therapy that worked for you had to be very specifically tailored to you. There is no one therapist or therapy that will work necessarily across the board. The person who works with you to help you to become who you are today needs to be very specifically trained to understand what's happening inside the neurodiverseness of you. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes, and it's different for everyone because
Yep.
the therapist that works great for me may not work great for someone else and vice versa. That's why there's so many therapists out there. And it's really important to find one that you feel comfortable with and you feel heard and appreciated by, but that's also going to challenge you to move through these things that you need to get through in order to heal. And I um, had met a lot of people that I would never have opened up to, but this particular person that I was referred to, because I had talked to others and I was like, none of these people feel right to me. And this particular person did. So I went through a couple of different people before I got to this one. Some people just wanted to do medication management. And I was like, that's not going to heal me. Medication is going to mask it. And I already been masking most of my life. So I don't want to keep doing that. And so understanding what it means to mask, it means to camouflage. Like when you're trying to fit into a society that doesn't understand you and you just keep changing and changing and changing for them, that's not healthy either. And so that's where I go back to everyone's not for me and I'm not for everyone. And I know that, and that's okay with me now.
I want to ask you about executive functioning, and this may be a topic we need to spend a lot more time on. But I think of executive functioning as thinking ahead. I'm thinking financially. Some people, neurodiverse or not, are impulsive in spending. When we are thinking ahead in executive functioning, that is to live independently and so forth, requires being able to process information. Did it take a while, maybe longer than you had expected, to be able to process that kind of information to become independent?
Um, Not necessarily, but again, everybody's one of one. So I dyscalculia is one of my neurodifferences, which is the math learning disability. So numbers are like a foreign language to me. So finances still to this day don't fully make sense to me, but my husband is a finance guy, so he gets it and he, I lean in for him to look at it. I understand the numbers enough to be able to process through them. But for many years, I avoided numbers and I never understood why until I was diagnosed. So I'm able to lean into others that know better and that I trust that can support me through that. But with the executive functioning, it could be anything from not being able to do task management, time management. It might be a lack of, you might have time blindness, meaning that you think something's going to take 6 hours, and so you freeze and you don't get started because you don't understand that you can do this stuff in micro increments. It could be um, it could be multitasking because multitasking is really wasn't meant for humans. So what does that mean? How do I break apart my task into micro tasks to get things done? So executive functioning is also a broad spectrum of things. It's not one thing. And what I heard you talking about were more life skills than actually what I would call executive functioning.
Okay. Lisa, I think I want to ask you a very personal question even while we're recording here. Would you consider coming back for another episode to talk more about executive functioning skills? You pretty clearly found a husband who is willing to work with you. You complement each other and so forth. But for my thinking, all of this includes executive functioning, yes, life skills and so forth, but it's a matter of how can I, a neurodiverse person, find my sweet spot and find where I function best in this world, because quite honestly, I don't need to know everything. But I'll focus on that which I do need to know because that's my sweet spot. And I don't know that I'm characterizing this correctly, Lisa, but that's how I'm processing a lot of what you're saying.
Yeah,
Also, I'd like for you to address our daughter and son-in-law finding that in Maryland, at 18 or 19, there's nothing more. So, and they're trying to find ways to help because Angelina's 19, she'll be 20 in December. And so at this point, they just feel like there's nothing out there to help her.
Yeah, so I'm in Maryland as well. There are definitely things out there, not as many and very hard to find. And this just isn't in Maryland. It's like all these early interventions, and then middle school, it gets a little worse. High school, the wheels completely fall off the bus. And then when you're getting ready to graduate from high school, going off to college, it's like, okay, fly, birdies fly, but they have wings that are locked, right? And so they don't have the ability. So there are some things that I can speak with you guys offline about too, that you may or may not have looked into, resources, things that they can maybe tap into. So I'd be happy to have a conversation with you offline, because that's a whole nother topic that if we need to come back on a third time, we can talk about accommodations and resources through birth through 21. There are definitely things. They're just, as you get older in age, they're farther and few between. Mm-hmm. For sure. So we can definitely talk about that. And I forget I didn't write down the other question you had, Ron. So
Well,
other than yes, I'll come back.
well, thank you. It's about executive functioning, although the better term may be life skills, just how to adapt, find and then adapt to, and then move on within those life skills for which you are most suited.
Yes. So function best in your world. That I wrote something down, but I couldn't connect it back. See, that's me. I already had lost it. So yes, it's connecting those dots, building those bridges and connecting the dots to what do you do best? How do you do it? What lights you up? Which skills do you maybe need to learn? Which ones are outside of your capacity? And then how do we come together and find that path forward? And that really is my sweet spot. It's helping people uncover what they know, what they don't know, and what they don't know, they don't know, and then bringing them through that clarity, confidence, and courage journey map, the clarity goes to the internal, the confidence is the relational, and the courage is the systemic. And so that's the pull through of those three pieces, where I work with people, whether they're kids going through the school system, adults trying to help those kids through, kids that became adults that are trying to navigate this now throughout life. I cross all those because everyone is one of one. But when we really lean in, need to diagnose someone, I just need to have them be to receiving those conversations and willing to take chances on themselves.
Great. Lisa, we look forward to a follow-on to this conversation to advance those who are neurodiverse. It's I don't know if there are actually more people who are neurodiverse or what's happening, or we just understand it a little bit more, but you're a great help. Lisa, thank you so much for sharing your life, and we look forward to having you come back.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate having the opportunity to share our and our guests' life experiences with you.
The Cooper Culture advances organizations to achieve and sustain high retention rates, connected communication, and trust through personality insights and principled leadership. You can contact us at our website, thecooperculture.com, and you can contact us directly at ron@thecooperculture.com or Marty, Marty, at thecooperculture.com. We work with you to help assess aspects of your culture to advance the environment and people to their best performance. We do that through our staff of certified personal performance coaches, leadership trainers, keynote speakers, and DISC personality behavior experts. You can book a speaking engagement directly through our website by contacting us at ron@thecooperculture.com. We look forward to sharing our life experiences with you, some of which are profound, some of which are pretty funny. Some of those life experiences are ones we'll never do that again because we've been through stuff. We truly look forward to working with you, speaking with you, helping advance you in any way that we can.